guys, Shelty Phillips here with my February 22nd DVD update, where I talk about all the DVDs and Blu-rays I've gotten over the last 2 weeks or so. If you guys haven't seen it yet, check out the link below to see my all-horror Blu-ray DVD update I did a couple days ago. I have some really cool horror titles in that one. Now, the first one I always say too, if you guys enjoy these videos, definitely give this video a thumbs up. Leave me comments below too on some of the stuff you guys have checked out recently. Any stuff coming up, you'd like me to check out for future update videos. Now, the first one I got from Disney is Disney's Big Hero 6. This is one I saw in theaters as well. Really like this one a lot. I even saw that thing at, Disney, where Captain EO was, where they, played the preview of this, the first, 10 minutes of this. I even saw that thing before as well. But the movie's basically, though, about this kid who's in college, and he ends up inventing this, robot in the movie. And I think, for some reason, I kept calling it, Awesome. That's not the name. It was, and I was calling him Betamax, but it's Baymax. He ends up creating this robot, and, he also... but that's not the main thing he did. He also he was in this science show, showing this invention that he created, and, there was a fire and his brother ends up dying, and then the kid's younger brother, who's getting ready to go to college as well, basically needs to write a paper about, something, so he ends up writing about his brother, and so basically he actually has to make this invention, and then he ends up discovering the Osmo, and he tries to start to do things with it, and he pretty much is trying to also discover what had happened really to the brother, and if there was some kind of things going wrong and things not so good about his death and why it ended up happening and what ended up happening to the invention that the brother was showing at the science show, because they all went missing, and that's pretty much what it is him, and then he becomes, to go and look for the person that was responsible for the death, and then he gets this whole gang of kids together from the college, and they all kind of become like superheroes, and they make these inventions. So it's a really fun movie. I believe, too, that it was based on a book, like a graphic novel, and I think Marvel had something to do with this one as well. It also has on here the short film, before the movie that they played, which is a pretty cool one, and then the making of, and a bunch of Easter eggs and deleted scenes. But I really like this one a lot. The next one is the one of those ones that you kind of almost wouldn't have thought there would be a sequel to. But I like the first one, but I kind of like this one, the second one, a little bit better. It didn't have the same idea about killing the bosses and things like that. The first one kind of reminded me a little bit of Office Space a little bit. But this one's Horrible Bosses 2. It's from Warner Brothers. And this is, pretty much about the main characters from the first movie. They created this invention, the Shower Daddy, which is this shower thing, this weird shower dispenser they kind of want to sell on TV and infomercials and things like that. They get this huge order from Christopher Waltz's character. And, right when they make all the products, they think they have all this money coming to them. He ends up pulling the plug on the invention and stealing their idea and basically changing just the name of it, but, stealing everything. So they end up, losing the company, and he wants to basically take the products that they made away from them because they can't pay themselves and they're totally broke, and, he's buying them for nickels and things like that. So it's, as cheap as possible. So it's pretty much about them all coming together, making this plan to end up kidnapping Christopher Waltz's son, who's this real turd guy. He's really kind of not very nice. They plan on kidnapping him and getting for ransom to try and get the money back that they lost so they can keep their business and, hopefully, be able to survive and things like that. Basically, though, the son, doesn't like his father as well, and then he wants to work along with them to get the father to pay, or the father doesn't want to pay. That's essentially what it was. Jennifer Aniston is also in this as well. I enjoyed this. It also has the theatrical and extended cut of the film, and it has on here, some behind-the-scenes stuff and things like that. But and like I said, his main thing is the extended cut of the movie. But I thought this was a fun follow-up to it, and a different take on the whole thing. The next one is the 10th anniversary edition of, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. This is, the one with Johnny Depp. And the main new thing in this is a booklet in here that has a bunch of pictures and things like this, about the movie and things like that. But I pretty much think that the actual disc is pretty much the same. It might be the same disc from the original release. I think it was in 2005. It was cool watching this again because I had not watched this in a long time. I like the new case and things like that. First, but like I said, I really saw this in theaters, and I think I saw it when it came to HD DVD, and I think the HD DVD had a second of different footage or something. I don't know if anyone else remembers that. There was this 1 or 2 lines that was added to it. I don't know why, and it was only in that. I don't even remember what it was. I just remember I saw that, and I had the DVD and was comparing it. I always remember doing that. I'm like, why was that one line in that, not this one? But I always liked this one. I always had kind of mixed opinions with people, but I thought it was, Johnny Depp was pretty cool in this. I remember, too, when they were getting ready to make this, there was all these rumors that it was going to be Crispin Glover. Then Crispin Glover ended up playing Johnny Depp, the Willy Wonka character in the Epic movie. And I actually kind of liked his take on that. And, they also thought Marilyn Manson was going to do it. There's all these kind of talks about the casting of this. Like I said, though, I like this one. I didn't like, though, that it kind of showed more about what happened to the kids. Like, in the original one, I liked how, like, the kids, you don't know what happened to them, and Willy Wonka had this more sinister thing to him, like, did these kids die? Or, you don't really know, and you kind of think they probably did, in, like, his version of it, like, because it sort of seemed like there was, like, weird stuff happening with these kids. That's the only thing I didn't like, was they had to, like, show, they got out of it, and that's the only thing I didn't like. But, if you haven't seen the movie, it's pretty much about Willy Wonka, who has his chocolate factory, and opens up the factory with this contest, and there's, like, 5 lucky winners looking for the golden ticket, and everyone's trying to find them. And, the basically about Charlie and the other kids that go there, and then what happens to them at the chocolate factory. Like I said, though, this has always been movies that I love, but, it's not as good, as, of course, as the original one, but still a fun one, and I like Danny Elfman's music in this. The next one, I was really interested in seeing. This is from Lionsgate, and this is Adam Agon's new movie, The Captive. He directed one of my all-time favorite movies, probably in the top, 30 list of movies, because I just love that movie. This wasn't as good as that, though, because it's hard to compete with that movie, and it's Felicia's Journey, which, to me, was like Bob Hoskins' greatest movie. It's just this really, really cool, creepy movie. But The Captive is one of those movies that I really feel like needed a little bit more editing work, and like some work with the pacing and things like that. There's just some stuff in it, like they were flashing back at points, and I wish they didn't do it like that. I wish they would have, because there was aspects of this that were so cool about the movie's basically, though, about Ryan Reynolds' daughter, and he drives her to he's driving to taking her out back from ice skating. They stop off at this one place, and he runs in to grab something in this kind of little marketplace, and she ends up being kidnapped and goes missing, and the police are all thinking that maybe he had something to do with it, and why would he leave her in the car, and it's kind of this whole big thing, and it kind of flashes back to the girl now who's been kidnapped with the kidnapper, and the kidnapper is talking to her, and she kind of seems a little bit brainwashed by the whole thing, and I like the aspects with the kidnapper, but then it's basically about the whole thing is that she now wants to meet up and find and see her father. And it's kind of a weird thing about him trying to find her, the police, trying to figure out where he is, and it deals with all these real dark things and things like that. And, Rosario Dawson's character was kidnapped as well in the past, and she's, like, on the case. And I liked it, but like I said, it had aspects of it that needed some work. But I really did like it. Like I said, I liked aspects of it. I thought that it was effective in parts, and then other parts it just didn't work perfectly to me. I thought, though, the acting was really good. I thought Ryan Reynolds was good in it. I thought the kidnapping aspects was pretty cool. I would say check this out, though. I liked it, but like I said, there's aspects of it that just didn't work perfectly. The next one is the Scott Adkins film Green Street Hooligans, The Underground, from Lionsgate as well. And I think there was 2 other ones of these. I think the first one of them, Elijah Wood, was in them. But it's basically about this kind of street gang that goes around doing street fights and things like that. And the one kid ends up getting killed, and his brother ends up coming back to the street gang, which he was originally the head of. And it's pretty much about him coming back and trying to figure out exactly what happened to the brother and who killed the brother. At the same time, the other street gangs are kind of coming after him, and they kind of have like a battle with them and things like that. That's pretty much what it was. It wasn't one of those movies that I really got super into. I thought it was well acted and things like that. There were some cool things in it. I think I really should have seen the other ones. I don't think Scott Adkins, was in the first movie, but I thought that it was, it was interesting and things like that. There was some cool stuff in it, some cool fight stuff, but it was kind of few and far between with that kind of stuff. But it also has a behind-the-scenes feature on here as well. And the next one from Anchor Bay is St. Vincent. I saw this in theaters, really liked this a lot. It's Bill Murray's in this, Melissa McCarthy, Naomi Watts, and it's basically Melissa McCarthy and her son move into this house, and she's working as a nurse, and, she doesn't know how she's going to pay for, a nanny, and doesn't know how the son's going to, be watch while she's being the nurse, and she doesn't have a lot of money, so she ends up getting Bill Murray, who's kind of the curmudgeon neighbor next door, to watch the kid. And it's pretty much about the kid and him going on kind of adventures and kind of weird stuff they do with him gambling. It's kind of about the kid kind of helping Bill Murray be kind of a nicer person, things like that. And Naomi Watts is Bill Murray's kind of prostitute girlfriend, but he's kind of trying to help her out and things like that. I really thought this was a really nice, well acted, kind of one of those sort of feel good movies. There's a lot of sad stuff that happens in this as well, but it has on here deleted scenes and Bill Murray, but a featurette on here. And also it's kind of interesting too. Like I remember hearing on Howard Stern some interviews too, like the stories about how they ended up getting Bill Murray in this movie and kind of the interview process and how all the ways that they did it, because Bill Murray is always really difficult to get in touch with about movies, so I just thought that was interesting. But like I said though, if you like Bill Murray too, I also think this is one of the better Melissa McCarthy movies in a while, because some of those slapsticky things that she's done recently, I don't care for them anymore. I just like some of those, like that Tammy, I did not like that movie. I thought she was really good in this, and I actually like her in more kind of serious roles like this. The next one from Anchor Bay as well, and I think this was on Starz. I believe it was a Starz original series, and it's from the people who did Project Greenlight, Chris Moore. And Project Greenlight is one of those shows that I always remember really liking. This one's The Chair, and it's a kind of a competition series that follows around two filmmakers who are supplied with the same script, and they're going to make the same movie, but with different actors and different locations and things like that. And it's kind of about at the end of it, they end up judging, who's the winner and who ends up getting awarded, I think it's $250,000. And, Shane Dawson is one of the filmmakers in this. So it's pretty cool, like, a making of process, showing them about making it and the things that happen, things like that. It also includes both of the movies on here, too, that they made. I think this is a pretty cool thing about people who are interested in filmmaking and things like that, too. Also, if you guys are fans of Project Greenlight, too, I definitely recommend this. The next one from Dark Sky Films is VANish, which was a Tony Todd, Danny Trejo movie, and it's the actress in this was also in like The Starving Games. I think that was the one she was in. But this is basically about this girl who ends up getting kidnapped by these kind of guys, and they're kind of like bumbling crooks. Like they don't seem like really know what they're doing, and they're kind of funny, and they're sort of silly about the way they're acting. They're like the kind of people you really don't expect to be kidnapped, and you're kind of wondering like, why are they doing this? And why, like, what made them do this? Because they don't really seem like they have any clue what they're doing. And they plan on basically holding this girl for ransom to get her father, played by Danny Trejo, to, pay up. And pretty much all the movie is filmed inside of this van. I thought it was pretty good. I liked, to me, because I like weird scenes and things like that, I love the scene with Tony Todd. Like, I have a feeling that there was no script for Tony Todd. There was probably an outline, because they even have these outtakes of it, and Tony Todd was saying the weirdest things. I mean, some of the weirdest things in the world. Like, there's no way that this was written down. This was definitely all improvised, and he probably was there for maybe an hour, I'm guessing, but there's just something about that scene that was amazing. Like Tony Todd's in a lot of movies where he has these quotable lines, and this one, his scene was amazing. It was just so weird, and things that he was saying to them, and the way that he was acting. I don't know, it was just really strange. But I thought it was pretty cool. Like I said, though, it was kind of a movie, like a kidnapping film. The next one from Well Go USA, and this movie was sort of like Very Bad Things, but way more straight-laced, sort of, and with less of the kind of dark humor that the other one had. I liked Very Bad Things a lot more than this. I mean, this is okay, but I don't know. It was basically, though, about this one, who was the actor in that? I always forget his name. Donald Faison. Donald Faison, whose wife is really annoying, and basically all the friends really don't like him. And they're kind of all talking about killing his wife, and talking about how they would do it and things like that. And the one day, the one friend ends up actually strangling the wife, and she ends up dying. And then all the friends and their wives and everything get together and plan on how they're going to get rid of her. And I'm not really spoiling anything, as that's pretty much what the movie is, and that's pretty much all I want to say. But it's kind of weird that all these people would kind of agree to dispose of this body and do this kind of thing. It just didn't seem that logical, and it wasn't played as, like I said, as dark and things like that as things like Very Bad Things, which kind of worked in that kind of thing. This movie was trying to play it a little bit too straight-laced a little bit, and it just didn't work as well as that, because you could tell they were trying to make a Very Bad Things kind of movie, and I just didn't care much for this at all. The next one, this is one of those things, I'm not gonna lie, I never thought that we would ever, there would ever be a DVD release of this. I kind of thought I'd never see the show again, because this is one of those things that I remembered seeing as a kid, and I remembered liking. I always remember that Macaulay Culkin, was the voice, and also there's this like little opening with him, kind of like Bobby's World with the live action with Howie Mandel, but with him opening the episode in front of this cheap green screen, and it's Wish Kid, the complete series, and this is about this kid, voiced by Macaulay Culkin, and the other kid was voiced by the one from the voice in the My Pet Monster series and a number of different ones. But he has this glove, and he basically can, once a week he can have a wish on it, and he can kind of become things and go on adventures and things like that. This is one of those things, though, is mainly for kids, I think, that remember watching this as a kid. Like, I remember when this was just on, watching it on, like, USA or something, and seeing the reruns and things like that. But to me, I just thought it was so cool, and it's, they only ever did 13 episodes of this. And the next one from Lionsgate is Mountain Men Season 3, and I never had really seen many of these, and it's actually an interesting series about these guys living out in the mountains, and it's kind of like cutting off from everything else, and kind of people that want to kind of live out there, and it's pretty much about them, like what they do and how they survive out there, and hunting and things like that, kind of like sort of like living off the grid kind of people out in the kind of and where it's like freezing cold and there's all kinds of animals everywhere and things like that. I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool. It's one of those kind of fun watches things that you kind of just watch and chill out watching. It has on here, though, over 100 minutes of extra footage, though, so it's pretty cool. They had a whole bunch of extra stuff on here never before seen on TV. The next one from PBS is one, I really enjoyed this one. It was called Movable Feast. It's the second season, and it's basically about this guy who goes around the different areas, and after I watched this, I got really like in the mood to watch Two Fat Ladies, so I've been watching all these episodes of Two Fat Ladies again, because like that was like one of my all-time favorite cooking shows in the history of ever. Like I don't know if you guys haven't seen that, just buy that. That's an amazing show. But this one is about this guy who goes around different areas and basically goes out and gets food and cooks it up and like makes feasts for different people. Like I said, it has a kind of Two Fat Ladies vibe, but without being like the kind of humor and things like that that had. The next one, and I actually saw some of these episodes too at the gym as well, and it's called The 60s, The Decade That Changed the World. And this is a pretty good series with a lot of cool archival footage in the 60s, and it was all about like television, the war in Vietnam, the British invasion, when the Beatles were coming in, the space race, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, about things changing in Vietnam. It kind of focuses on episodes all on those different things with really pretty cool archive footage. And I had stuff in here all about, like I said, the Beatles and about Star Trek and the things that are on TV and all the politics things and about war with Vietnam and all that kind of stuff. Pretty cool series, though. The next one was one I was watching as well. It's The Chef's Life, Season 1 and 2. And this is another one that I kind of liked, about this woman who ends up, from the city, moves out to the country in this small area to basically open up a, restaurant back where she used to live. And it's about her kind of going around in the South, exploring and kind of meeting with some of the distributors of her food, where she gets her food for the restaurant, and people around the area, and showing different food things, and kind of about, rice and all kinds of stuff. I like these kind of things about going around to weird small places and stuff like that. These are the kind of stuff that I like to watch, just sort of like to chill out with. And this one I just finished watching a little bit ago, and really like this. And I definitely want to see more of these Secrets of the Dead. I don't know if there's going to be more releases of this, or what some of the other ones are, but I was really interested in this. And it's Ben Franklin's Bones. It's kind of about like, in Ben Franklin's house where he lived for 15 years. In the 90s, they were digging up the place to turn it into a museum, and they found in the basement all these bones. It was kind of like, is Ben Franklin like a killer? And like, does he kill all these people? Like, why are these bones under there? And it's kind of exploring about the people who lived there, about him at the time, and this other doctor who was there, and if there was like robbing graves of corpses and all this kind of stuff. And it's a really, really well put together documentary. And there's also in this, like when they show like they're talking about some of the characters and stuff. They show like these pictures, and they show like old pictures of like doctors and experiments and things like back then. And there's some really creepy pictures in this, like seriously scary, weird archival pictures in this. But I like that a lot. I thought that was a really interesting one. The next one from Millennium is The Humbling, and this is with Al Pacino and Diane Wiest, and it kind of has like a slight vibe of like Birdman a little bit, but with Al Pacino and the character. It's one of those movies too when you don't know what's real and what isn't, because he's having all these kind of visions and thinking, imagining things happening. But he's this kind of stage actor putting on this play, and it's directed by Barry Levinson. So if you know his movies, you know kind of the vibe of his stuff. But he's putting on this play, and he ends up trying to kill himself on the stage, with a gun, and he ends up not he ends up surviving, and he kind of is like goes home and tries to like put his life together and goes to this facility to try and like kind of like a rehab kind of thing. Then about him kind of getting his relationship with this woman that he meets, and I thought it was kind of interesting. Like I said, it has that kind of vibe to it that's like a similar kind of thing to Birdman a little bit. And the next one from Olive Films is the Jack Lemmon film, How to Murder Your Wife. This is pretty much about Jack Lemmon, who's this comic book artist and like makes these kind of things. And it's another one of those ones with like imaginations, and he's imagining different things and things like that. And he also has this kind of butler character that like works for him. And he's kind of like, that was my favorite aspect of the movie. But he basically, one night when he gets drunk at this party, he ends up getting married to this woman who doesn't really speak any English. And it's kind of about like, he realizes this was a really bad decision getting married to this woman. He really didn't mean to do this. And it's kind of about him like imagining to kill her and if he kills her or not. And that's essentially what it is. It's because this woman is like really difficult and he just can't deal with her at all. And that's essentially what it was. Another one too, Olive Films is doing a really good job cleaning up these movies. They just announced too they're going to be putting out Biodome, which I'm so excited about that. Like that was one of those movies, Pauly Shore movies I always loved, and I kind of never thought we get to see a Blu-ray of that one. But this is a pretty cool, like weird, older one that I feel like not a lot of people know about. And the last one from Cinedigm is Zoe to the Max. I kind of thought this was going to be like a Bingo kind of movie. Like that was one of my favorite movies as a kid, Bingo. But this is like, I guess, like in a way, but not really. It's not really as much of a dog movie as I thought it was going to be. I always sort of like these kind of dog movies. But the movie's pretty much about this girl who's, adopted, and she's with her foster parents, ends up at school, at a brand new school. And when she's leaving school, these kind of like bully kids tell her to get in the car with her. And I don't even think they're old enough to drive. And the one had this neck brace on. There was like a really weird aspect of these bully kids that they didn't even get into. And I was hoping you'd like find out more about them, but you never did. But she ends up basically, stumbling into this RV, gets in this RV because people are like looking for her. So she hides away from the cops in this RV. And then she ends up out in this one area. And then she meets this family, basically she meets the cops, and then the foster parents that she's with don't want her anymore. So she ends up staying out there with Amy Smart and Grant Ballard's character. And they also have this dog, and it's also about these kind of bumbling crooks kind of coming after and want this dog. I don't know, I kind of liked it. It was one of those things, though, it's like, not a perfect movie or anything, but it's kind of got, like, weird aspects to it that I liked. And like I said, like, it had, like, almost like that Home Alone kind of stuff with the bumbling crooks and stuff, but, like, it was kind of weird how it fit together a little bit, though. But anyway, though, that's all for this DVD Blu-ray update. Thanks again for watching and subscribing, and I'll see you guys later. And like I said, if you haven't seen the horror update, definitely check that one out. I'll put the link below.